Hello, church family. Welcome back to another episode of On the Avenue. We are continuing our Amazing Testimonies episode. You remember Sabrina, right? Well, she's a member of our praise team that you see for each service. Today, she's going to tell us her testimony. Let's take a listen.
Hello, my name is Sabrina Gatson. I'm originally from Houston, Texas, the 5th Ward section of Houston, Texas. I attended the High School for Performing and Visual Arts. I also went to Mount Corinth Missionary Baptist Church. A. Lewis Patterson Jr. was my pastor for over 30 years. I wanted to tell a little bit about my journey to kidney transplantation. When, about 2014, I started having some issues as far as rapid weight loss, thirst, not being able to quench thirst, severe fatigue, restless leg syndrome, restlessness, and of course I made an appointment and went to the doctor. They told me that I was diabetic and had been diabetic for years. Had no idea. Also told me that I was borderline high blood pressure. Had no idea. That was a shock to me. I was angry because I was an adult and I had been going to my doctors. I'm one that will go to the doctor for a stubbed toe. So for my doctors, my previous doctors, not to have told me about that or not to have caught that to where it was causing this kind of thing in my body, I was a little angry. A little sad. I went through the gamut. I was sad, I was depressed, I was angry. They said, no problem. We'll give you some medication and, we'll try to have this all reversed. That was 2014. By 2015, I think it was a summer because I was still working as a choir lecturer at Fundra Middle School. So I think it was 2015. 2015, it hadn't gotten any better. So, of course, I had changed primary care physicians, and I had gone and they took the gamut of blood tests and all the CBC tests that they take for your blood to test for everything that could, to see if everything was okay. And they told me that my kidneys were shutting down. I was like, no. I'm taking this. They gave me this medication. They gave me that. Everything should be getting better. She said, no, your kidneys are getting worse. I'm going to refer you to a nephrologist, which is a doctor that specializes in kidney functions. His name is Dr. Samuel Magnus Lawson. Great doctor, great nephrologist for anybody out there who may need one. He told me that I was going to need to go on dialysis. And my grandmother was on dialysis. And I told him, absolutely not. I'm not going to go on dialysis. I'm going to be healed. God is going to deliver me from this. Just believe in God. I'm going to believe God to heal me for this. I spoke with my aunt, and my aunt told me that whatever you need to do to get well or to make this better, God may give you the opportunity for it to reverse itself and heal itself, but he has also given doctors this wisdom, and he knows what he's talking about. So let's try to follow that. I said, okay. So February of 2016, Valentine's Day, that was my first dialysis treatment. So I went on dialysis and it was rough. If you're a dialysis patient, you go 3 times a week and it's 4 hours. So that's 12 hours out of your day. There's little to no movement because you have either a graft or a fistula in one of your arms, or some have a graft or I can't think of the name of it, a PICC line in your neck until your fistula has matured, because you can't use it until it's matured. Anyway, I did have a PICC line and I used it until my fistula was mature. So for 6 years, well, almost 6 years, for 5 years, I went to dialysis 3 days a week, 12 hours a day, not being able to move. The only thing I knew to do, the only thing that I was taught to do was you just have to believe God. You just have to have faith. And that's the only thing I knew to do. So while I was going to dialysis, I would still try to keep a job. I kept one as long as I could until it got to where the dialysis was so tiresome. When you get out of dialysis, you're just tired. And sometimes it took me a day or 2 days to recoup from dialysis. That was in the beginning stages. It's like that with most dialysis patients. When you first start off, all you want to do when you get off is go home, go to sleep. When you wake up, get you a little bit to eat if you have an appetite, and then go back to sleep. So that's how it was for the first maybe, I say 2 years. It was like that. It got a little easier because that becomes your lifeline. If you don't go to dialysis, you end up in the hospital. Either go to dialysis and try to do what you're supposed to do, take your meds, do what the doctors or your kidney doctor tells you to do, or you end up in the hospital. There's no, or something else. There's no in between. So I did what I was supposed to do most of the time. I did what I was supposed to do. In my 3rd year, I was approached by two of the hospitals in the medical center. And they asked me, how old are you? And I told them what my age was back then. They said, hey, you're young enough to get on a transplant list. I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, I'll do that. So for 2 of the hospitals, I went through the motions. I took all the testing, saw all of the doctors. It's a gamut of doctors, a plethora of doctors that you have to see. It's a whole lot of tests. You have to get a stress test. You have to get your a CAT scan of your whole brain, a bunch of things you have to do, because you even to get on the dialysis, they have to make sure that your body can take the transplantation, that you can take being under anesthesia, that you can take them slowing down or stopping your heart enough for them to do the surgery and place the kidney. Did that. I waited. I was certified. They said, congratulations, you're on the transplant list. I said, okay, this is going to be good. This is looking good. This is looking really good for me. I waited for both of them. Time passed. And I kept calling. I would call like every 3 months. Hey, where's my name? Where do I appear on the transplant list? Well, you're number 2 gazillion 5,000 million 47 and 0.2. I was like, okay, this is a lot. So I said, well, I don't know if this is gonna pan out for me. And while I was sitting in dialysis one day, one of my techs said, hey, Miss Gatson, you on the list at UTMB? And I was like, what list? The transplant list at UTMB. I said, no, I didn't even know there was a transplant list at UTMB. She said, yeah, get on that list. I said, okay. So I said, okay, then. That was about the 3rd year. Fast forward 2019, right before the pandemic, pre-pandemic. I said, let me call these people over here at UTMB, because I hadn't heard nothing from the 2 hospitals that I had got on the transplant list and that I was okayed for to be on the transplant. I heard nothing, and I was calling every 3 months, and still, well, you're still on there. You're still on there. And annually, you have to go take the test. So I was still going taking tests and making sure that my body was okay for the transplant. I called UTMB and I went through all the motions. I met all the doctors. I met the transplant coordinators. I met everybody that I was supposed to meet with. Took all the tests. They got all my records together and they said, okay, this is good. 2020, March of 2020, they called me and said, congratulations, you're on the transplant list. And because you've been on dialysis so long, that's gonna move your name up. And because of your age, that's gonna move your name up a little bit. I said, okay, this is looking good. Thank you, Lord. You know, this could be the answer to my prayers. Cause I really was tired of going to dialysis. It's a lifeline, it's a help. And I thank God for all my techs. And I thank God for the technology of dialysis, because it really does give you a better quality of life while you're on it. And I suggest anybody that's on dialysis, don't miss a treatment. Do what they're asking you to do. Just stay vigilant on your treatment. Please try not to miss any treatments. Just go. Take a book, take whatever you need to do, and attend your treatments. It's vital. Anyway, going forward, that was 2020. We went through the pandemic and things slowed down. Didn't quite hear from them. I started calling them and they were saying, well, we're kind of backlogged because of the coronavirus, and some of our doctors have, contracted it and they're out sick, and we're just trying to figure out the correct protocol so that we can, start back getting it back together so that we can get our transplants and everything back on time, because they got a list. They were backlogged. I guess that's what you call it. Trying to catch up with the number of people on the list, and trying to get the people off the list as soon as possible, as soon as transplants. But you didn't, people who were succumbed to COVID, of course they wouldn't want to give anybody those organs. That's basically what it was, because there were a lot of them. Fast forward to 2022. I said, okay, Lord, it's been almost 3 years again. I went to think, I said, you know what? I'm just going to go to dialysis. I'm going to do what I can do, because during all of this, I was still trying to come to church. I was trying to do little things. I was trying to do ministry work, just trying to keep my mind occupied and stop thinking, try not to think so much about being stressed. Just try to be content. That's something that the Bible tells you. Try to be content in your current circumstances or your current situation. So that's what I was trying to do. So that was on a Wednesday night. A week later, 2022, December, I got a call. No, well, my husband came in first, running. Sabrina, pick up your phone. The people from UTMB are calling you. Where's your phone? Where's your phone? I'm like, what is it? So I called them back, and it was a lady named Brenda, who I've grown to love and respect. She's helped me out a great deal. She said, Miss Gatson, we have a kidney for you. And I was like, what? She said, we have a kidney for you, and I need to know if you're going to accept it or not. I didn't know what to do. I was in shock. I said, are you serious? Is this for real? Are you serious? Yes, ma'am. We wouldn't call you to make this a funny thing for you about this. This is serious, and I need to know as soon as possible. Of course, I freaked out because I wasn't expecting it. It was sudden. It was like just like that. I was gonna come. I think I was coming to do a funeral or something at Wheeler. And I called my nephrologist. I was all, well, they just called me. They said they had a kidney. What am I supposed to do? She said, what are you calling me for? Go, just go. So I think I called up here to Minister Lewis and let him know they just called me and I got to go to Galveston tonight and boo-hoo. She says, okay, just get off the phone, just go. So we got in the car. And went to UTMB in Galveston, Jenny Seeley Hospital. On the 22nd, they did a few tests. About 9:30 or 10 o'clock, they came and asked me, was I ready? I said yes. So I got my transplant the 22nd of December of 2022, almost 6 years after I started dialysis. It would have been 6 years this February. Exactly 6 years, Valentine's Day, on December the 22nd of 2022. Went in, surgery was successful. There were no complications at all. Everything went like it was supposed to do. My doctors were very compassionate. The nurses, the techs were their bedside manner was wonderful. I have nothing but kudos and thank yous and gratitude for the University of Texas Medical Branch at Galveston. Went through that, woke up from my surgery. I had a new kidney. They don't go through your back anymore. They put it in your abdomen. So this is where my new kidney is. And I want to thank the family. I don't know his name, but I know who it came from. I know his background. And you get the opportunity to send the family a note of gratitude for agreeing to let you take their loved one's organ. So I'm grateful to them. I'm grateful that God gave me a calm right before this, it was a week before. It was the Wednesday before. He gave me a calm, and I just said I was going to be content in my current circumstance. Just go to dialysis, do what you're doing, keep doing your ministry work, keep serving the Lord, keep trying to do a little work every now and then, whatever you can do that the dialysis will allow you to do. I'm grateful for being a part of the Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church that pray. I was a part of a church for years and years and years, but I've never been a part of a church that is so deeply rooted and grounded in prayer. I can't explain what prayer, it really changes things, and God really answers prayer. And these are some praying people, and I appreciate that. My pastor, Minister Lewis, I just appreciate that. My transplant is working. I have to go to the doctor for 6 months to a year. I do labs every week. That's where they test my blood, and they test, they take a urinalysis to make sure that the kidney is working. They say some people, it takes them about 4 or 5 months before their body really starts to respond to the kidney, and realizing that there's a foreign something in their body. They started saying that my body was working within the first 60 days. There have been no infections. had some people have to go to dialysis to jumpstart their kidney. I didn't have to do that. It's just working. It's working normally. And every time I go back, I get something. They tell me, this is truly different. This is different. So you mean to tell me you haven't had any problems, da 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 da? And I'm like, well, no. So you're not in pain? No. You don't have any swelling? No. And they did use, well, this is amazing. This is something that's amazing. We have most people, especially most people your age, they have a few little problems with their kidneys, but I thank the Lord I haven't had any. When it took labs today, before I have to go, I still have to travel to UTMB, League City. I don't have to go to Galveston. Before I got home, I got my results, my blood lab results. Everything's fine. Potassium level a little bit high, but that's, my kidneys aren't in rejection. My kidney is not infected or anything like that. So I'm just thankful. That was my early Christmas gift. December 22nd of 2022 will be a day that I will never forget. I was released from the hospital on Christmas Day with my new Christmas gift from God, which was my kidney. And that's my testimony. I'm so grateful. I'm glad to be alive. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be in service. I'm just happy. I'm just happy. If I had any advice for anybody who's going through some type of a kidney problem, or if you're feeling fatigue all the time, if you're feeling thirsty, more than if you can't quench your thirst, and if you have dropped weight 10 to 20 pounds and you're not dieting, seek out medical attention immediately. If you have to go to the bathroom a lot, seek out medical attention. As a matter of fact, find a specialist, find a kidney specialist, and then go from there. Have your primary care physician refer you to a nephrologist. If I may, my nephrologist was Samuel Magnus Lawson, and he's wonderful. He works out of St. Joseph Hospital. Don't wait. Don't wait. Drink plenty of fluids, water. Drink plenty of water all the time. Water is the best for your body. I think I heard somebody say your body is made up mostly of water. That's the truth. So the water that you get rid of, you need to replenish it with water. Try to eat as healthy as you can. Outside of the Daniel fast, we getting there. Try to eat as healthy as you can, as you possibly can. All the fruits and the vegetables and the grains, try to stay with that. And take care of yourselves. But if you have any of those symptoms, do not, even blurriness in your vision, seek medical attention, whatever it is. Headaches in the front or the back of your head, seek medical attention. You may just say, oh, it's sinus, or I have a sinus infection, or I have a little cold. It may just be that. But all of these things affect your kidney and your fatty liver. And those are the things that we need to protect, especially as, being African Americans and African American men and women. We need to take care of our bodies. So if you got a little cold, whatever it is, whatever ailment, please seek medical attention. And that's my testimony.
My amazing testimony has to do with a financial matter. So I would say I started dating my wife in 2010, about March 2010. And my wife is a very smart, intelligent lady. She went to school, so she has advanced degrees. And with those advanced degrees comes high sums of loans, school loans. So while I love my wife tremendously, when we got married, her school loans became our school loans. And if you know anything about school loans, they're a bit onerous in terms of the interest that you're paying on the loans. And so after many years, I was like, wow, we're not even putting a dent in this principle, right? So I started researching other ways, and I learned about student loan forgiveness, right? If you public service, if you work either in a nonprofit or if you work in school, etc., then you could actually apply for public service school loan forgiveness, right? And you have to meet 2 criteria. One is you have to have worked 10 years in public service or nonprofit, and you also had to have repaid 120 payments. So I didn't know where we stood on that, but I said, well, you know what, let's find out, right? And so I started this process. It was a very arduous process. It was very long, fill out applications, all this kind of stuff. And after, I would say maybe 5 or 6 months, they sent us back a note and said, you don't qualify, right? So I was like, oh, okay, whatever. So in my mind, I was like, okay, well, we have a few more payments to make. By a few more, I mean like almost 1.5 years worth of payments. So I was like, all right, we'll pay this for 1.5 years, then we'll revisit it. But something in my spirit was like, I don't know. So I decided to fast, right? And in my mind, I was like, I know God is going to do something special. I know he's going to move. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to fast. And in the time of fasting, I was thinking about this school loan, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to check the mail while I'm doing this whole fast. So about 1.5 weeks went by. I didn't check the mail, and I decided to get the mail after the end of the fast. And when I open up the mail, I see, okay, this is from the organization who has now taken over the school loan processing. And so I open the letter and I start to read it. And at first I'm a little perplexed. So then I read it twice and I'm like, okay, I think this letter is saying that we no longer have this debt. I think they're forgiving us of the loan. So immediately I'm at home. My daughters, I don't know, they're running around somewhere. My wife is working at the desk. Her parents are in town. And I just get up and I start to dance, right? And I'm just dancing, joy, happy, all this kind of stuff. And my wife is looking around like, she doesn't see me spontaneously dancing in the house a whole lot. So she's like, well, what's going on? And her dad is standing in the kitchen and he's seeing me like just dance, and he has this weird look like, why is Ajahni dancing? And I looked over at my wife because she's asking me like, what's going on? I'm like, if you knew what was going on, you would just stand up and dance right now. So she's like, okay. And she comes and she just starts dancing with me. And I'm like, okay. And we're dancing. So I had the letter in my hand and I was like, read this. And she starts reading the letter, and all of a sudden she understands now why I'm in this spontaneous praise movement. So basically the testimony is, we got a note to say we did not qualify for public service loan forgiveness and our loan wasn't forgiven. And 6 months later, we got a note, this debt is forgiven. Right. And so for me, that was just God working a miracle in our lives, because we didn't qualify and now we do. Right. So for some people, some things are, you know, what I'm trying to say is with God, anything is possible. And that's really the testimony.
These testimonies have been a tearjerker for me, but encouraging nonetheless. Follow us on all of our social media platforms at Wheeler Avenue BC, and I will see you next time on The Avenue. Bye.